All right, and we are back. 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 Welcome. All right, and we are back. And today we're back with part two for the oversimplified Punic Wars, the second Punic War. So, guys, I like the first one. It was hilarious. It was very educational, and I had a really good time. So let's go ahead into it. Not gonna have a bunch of fluff in this one, guys. Don't worry. It's not gonna be a super long intro, guys. No need to go past this part. Just make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're new to the channel or you're new to Over Explained or Oversimplified, what am I talking about? Oversimplified, then make sure you go to Oversimplified, you comment, you subscribe to them, you tell them I sent you. The link will be in the description below, guys. But with that being said, there is one serious thing I do have to say. If you guys don't like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, YouTube will come through that door, and they will. The second Punic War.
This video was made possible by Incogni. Use code OverSimplified in the link below for an exclusive 60% off an annual Incogni plan.
Guys, go to incogni.com /oversimplified. You're gonna get 60 freaking percent off. Honestly, you can't afford to not do this. What are you gonna you're gonna spend 60 additional percent later for this product? What is this product? We don't know yet. Will he explain it?
Make sure to grab.
He doesn't. He doesn't explain what the product is. You will figure it out. Go to the website, look on what they do, and it's really cool. I guarantee you, it's for you. Probably 90% of you, it's for you. Go to the Incogni. For everyone else, also those people too, but everyone else as well, go to this one because this is definitely for you, and this was limited time. We already talked about this before. You guys already know. You probably already sent the emails telling people like, "Yo, this guy needs his own YouTubes." So I'm looking forward to their email. I haven't got it yet, but I know you guys already sent the email from the first video. So like, shout outs to you. Everyone in here, Day, Charlie, Max over there, if you're watching, if anyone's out there whose name so happens to start with the letter A or Z, shout outs to all of you guys.
Console YouTubes before it's too late. Don't make me mention it a third time, or I'll you know what.
Whoa. Oh, that's not my mom, so I don't have to worry. But that is one of you guys. That is your mom, and you do need to worry about that. So, like, there's a reason I can tell that's not my mom.
Hannibal's army had survived its famous crossing of the Alps, and he was now in Italy. With Hannibal's arrival, the Roman consul Scipio.
Guys, so if you don't remember, he's explaining it right now, but I'm just going to go ahead right now and yap for a second. Hannibal is in Europe. He made it past the Alps. They didn't really think he was going to do it. He did it. He made it there. He's down to a couple of men, but he's regrouping with soldiers out in like the farmlands, and he's going to be doing some stuff, guys. Let's see what he says.
Hit the ground running. In typical Roman fashion, he marched his army straight at the enemy, and Hannibal began preparing for his first combat with Rome on Italian soil. Before the battle, Hannibal wanted to inspire his men, so he staged a gladiatorial death match between captured Celt prisoners, with the winner getting prizes and freedom. He then explained that the whole thing was a metaphor. Metaphor?
Okay. It's a metaphor. You guys don't actually get actual prizes and actual freedom. You know, you get the freedom of like, yo, you're alive and that guy you killed is dead. You're free to live more, and the prize is probably joining the army. If I'm assuming the metaphor correctly, which I don't know, but I do feel like that would be a hilarious metaphor if they do that.
For what? You! These warriors are you! You're trapped in Italy with no escape. Your only choice now is to fight and win. What about the dead guy? That's you if you don't win. And the prizes? That's what you stand to gain by winning. And the fact that I've soiled myself in all this excitement? No, that's not part of the metaphor.
Okay.
Okay. Hannibal also smashed in the head of a goat. Again, for inspiration.
I may have been wrong there, guys, possibly, but I feel like what my thing is, I don't know if the person actually received freedom fully. Like, can we do some research on that? If anyone in the comments can tell me that the Celtics actually got free after this, I would be happy to know that.
Scipio, on the other hand, now arriving in the area, opted for the more classic route of a rousing pre-battle speech. Look at them, men. Weak, starved by the Alps, while we are the strongest military in the world. This will be easy, like 10,000 horse-sized ducks fighting a baby-sized baby. It'll be like Mike Tyson in his prime, kicking a baby. A tug of war between 10 sumo wrestlers and a help
baby?
me out here, Ralph. A baby, sir? Yes.
Oh, yeah, I figured.
Yes, that's it. A baby. The point is, there is absolutely no possible way we could lose a battle this easy.
You know who also said that? The British. And shout outs to all my British viewers. You know, I appreciate you guys, but I am from America, and I do have to say we did win that war. So, like, you know, na poo poo, like, I'm sorry to be you. Like, it's crazy how, like, you could lose a war to a place that's supposed to be all, oh, you can't really mess with us, we're the biggest military of the time, and all of a sudden you run up into these American flags and it's like, whoa, how do we handle these guys? You know, like, my gosh, this red, white, and blue is just too strong. This, you know, this mudblood American right here. Like, who are these guys? These aren't the same guys we left. These guys left and they're a new guy. He's him. That's what they said. That's what the British king was saying when they went against, you know, George Washington and them, you know, talking about they ain't nothing, but then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, is he him? Is he him? Direct quote from the king.
So, if everybody's ready, on my mark,
All
The
right.
Battle of Ticinus was over almost as soon as it had begun,
Dang.
as the Romans found themselves completely outmatched by Hannibal's famed lightning-fast Numidian cavalry, a
Oh.
key element in Hannibal's devastating.
So I believe what this was, he was in crazy. It's always crazy how, like, the first person to think of something, like, it seems so simple thinking back on it. But, like, I'm pretty sure his plan was just to, like, blockade them at the front, like, match up all their people in the front, but then have the cavalry, instead of, like, charging up front, he would have the cavalry off to the side, and that we could just, like, go around and, like, attack them from behind. It sounds so simple, but, like, I may be wrong. Let's see what he does.
Double envelopment tactics. In the chaos, Scipio was wounded. Thankfully, according to some ancient writers, his handsome 17-year-old son, Scipio the Younger, saw his father fall. Scipio the Younger supposedly saved his father, and in the process, earned himself a lot of daddy's kisses. The Romans
my
ended up
gosh.
fleeing the area.
What was that? I hope that wasn't his stepson.
Destroying the bridge behind them as they went. For a nation so overtly confident in victory, believing Hannibal to be an easy kill, the Romans found themselves running away with their tail between their legs. It was humiliating. And you know who thought so as well? The Celts. They began flocking to Hannibal's side, just as he'd hoped.
Yeah, every time you lose, they're gonna, like, see that and they're gonna be like, yo, this guy is actually beating them. Like, we should be with him. We should be on his side. Like, he's probably way chiller than that. Like, although he is gonna make you guys do death battles, it actually, I don't know. if you're the Celts, if you guys were a Celt, throw it in the comments. Whose side would you be on, Romans or would you be on the Carthaginian? Or I'm all right. I'll just say Hannibal. We'll be on Hannibal's side because I can say Carthage, but I can't really say Carthaginian. I can't say the other one properly without like mispronouncing it. I can say it in my mind, but like outwardly, like out my mouth and stuff. Like it's a difficult word to say sometimes. Like lay off, like get off my back.
Even Celtic troops fighting for Rome in the Roman camp began to reconsider. Man, I'm thinking we should try to join Hannibal. I hear you. Maybe we should bring him a gift. What do you think he'd like? Oh, I know. Hey, Hannibal. We want to join your side, and we brought you a present. A gift? For me? I hope it's Roman heads. Oh, please. Oh, please be Roman heads. How did you know? Running away from Hannibal was humiliating enough.
It's like his favorite thing. It's like Roman heads and like dead Romans. It's like literally his favorite thing. Like if you could give him one thing every day in life, it would be a dead Roman. And it's the craziest thing because I don't really feel that way about Romans, but he does. And he's got daddy issues. So like, we all got that somewhere, but like he's got a bigger daddy issue than most people.
But having dozens of Romans beheaded in the night, now that's embarrassing. Ticinus had been a relatively small battle, but the psychological impact it had early on was huge, and it was only just a taste of what Hannibal was capable of. Despite the shocking initial loss, however, Rome still didn't seem to fully understand the danger posed by the monster now loose in their territory. The Senate was full of excuses. It's those traitorous Celts. That's why we lost. Yeah, and it was a cavalry battle. Wait until Hannibal faces our almighty legions. And our consul was bald. Once he faces our other fully follicled consul, then he'll really pee his pants. That other consul, Longus, had been in the south all this time, preparing to invade Africa.
Wait, what is his name?
That other consul, Longus.
His name is Longus. All right. So, guys, I've officially established my ancient Roman name. My name would have been Maximus Longus if I was back in the day. So, you guys would have been subscribing to Maximus Longus tablets back in the day. I would have been doing all the best stuff. And, obviously people would have been like, yo, Maximus Longus, like, you're like the best in the world. Like, who could ever be better than you? And I would reply, nobody, obviously. But like, yeah, that would be me. I would be Maximus Longus. I think that's fully established, guys.
Had been in the south all this time, preparing to invade Africa. He had seen some success, even capturing Malta. But then he heard the news. Hannibal's in Italy? And I'm being ordered home? But I was going to be the big boy. I was going to invade Carthage and win the war. Well, you can be a big boy at home. No! Does somebody need a nap, sir? No! No! And so Longus brought his army on the long journey north. When he arrived in the area to decisively neutralize Hannibal, the two consuls joined their forces together, creating a double consular army. But the two consuls weren't exactly on the same page. Having a nice rest there, old man? I'm wounded, Longus. Pathetic. You don't understand. He's more dangerous than we thought. Maybe for you. Whoops. Listen, we can't just march straight at him like we normally do. We need to train our men through the winter, and we'll try again in spring. Sorry, I don't take advice from a bowling ball. Hey, I'll kick your ass, Longus. Any day now. I'm coming. Just you wait. Oh, Scipio, you feeble old man. Scipio was apparently quite cautious after his recent encounter with Hannibal, while Longus, typically Roman, couldn't wait to give Hannibal a swirly. So who would get their way? Well, when two consuls joined their forces, it turned out the Romans had an interesting system in place. They would each take turns being the one in charge. Consul 1 would lead one day, then Consul 2 the next. Back and forth, back and forth.
Okay, I actually see some upsides to this. Like, I can see why this could have possibly been seen as a good idea back in the day. You know, you have two people, equal power. You don't want them to like be all like, oh, I should be in charge. I should be in charge. It's like, here, you be in charge this day. You be in charge that day. That does sound simple. Like it sounds reasonable when you say it out loud. But when you actually think about that, you're telling people like they're gonna have different tactics. This it's gonna be hard on the soldiers because they're gonna be told to do this one thing from this guy, and then they may be told to do the complete opposite thing by the next guy the next day, and then go back and forth between doing one thing and the other. And if both of them are failing as a soldier, you may feel like, yo, which one of these guys, like, what if you're like, yo, I really like this one guy's plan, and you're like, I'm not even gonna listen to this next guy tomorrow. Like, if I make it to tomorrow, I'm not listening to this guy. Screw him. I'm just gonna be, freaking disappear one day, come back the next day, fight for the next guy. They'll never even notice. Like, you never know. And I feel like that's the type of stuff that's probably gonna happen.
As you can imagine, when the two consuls didn't agree, things didn't go so well. In this case, due to Scipio's injury, Longus probably assumed even more command than normal. Hannibal had Celtic spies in the Roman camp. He fully understood the Roman system and Longus's hot-headed nature, and he knew he could exploit it. For goodness sake! What's wrong, sir? I'm trying to order some pizza, but I keep getting fed all these personalized ads about being a hothead. I'm not a hothead, am I? No, sir. Look at this. Butt insurance? Who would buy butt insurance? Yeah,
Well, actually, okay, never mind.
sounds really stupid. Sir, it seems like a lot of data brokers
I was gonna say people do it, and then he did the thing. So, like, do I even really gotta say anything at this point?
have collected data on you. They could sell that data to Hannibal. What? But don't worry.
Is this a
because you
VPN?
can get rid of that data with today's wonderful sponsor, Incogni. Hooray!
Guys, we finally found out what Incogni is.
I've been getting at you
Yeah,
for some time to
it's
protect
crazy.
your personal data online. But you're a nimwit, aren't you? You
Wow.
didn't do it.
Wow.
Typical.
Wow.
And now would you look
Wow, bro. Wow. You hitting me with you didn't actually buy the VPN after I told you to buy the VPN all these times. Like, bro, what if I don't need a VPN? Did you ever think about that? What if I'm perfectly fine with everybody knowing whatever I search on the internet? Like, oh my gosh, I don't need a VPN. I'm not like over here trying to like look at international Netflix or anything like that, or anything crazy illegal that like I feel like I would need a VPN for. But like, you know what? You probably should get this VPN, because he's good at the promotion. I'm not like fully upset at him. I'm just saying he just called me out for not having a VPN. But what if I don't need one? What I'm saying is, if you do need one, you should probably get this one here. Like, wait, why did I go so far up? But no, you should get this VPN or whatever, and it seems cool. What is this one? What's it called? It's
address,
Incogni.
social security number, and favorite color from? Probably a dirty data broker. We could painstakingly contact the hundreds of brokers that have our data and politely ask them to delete it. That process.
Yeah, so this is a different thing then. So this is a thing where they're gonna have you. This is for like telemarketers. Like, I used to be a telemarketer, like in my 20s. Like, it was like one of my first jobs. So like, here's what happens, guys. All these phone companies and stuff that have like phone numbers and stuff, they sell that stuff just like off rip. They just sell it to all these companies. So it doesn't matter what phone company you're with, who's your carrier. They're gonna sell your phone number off to any company that asks for it or pays them enough money. So then once they do that, those random companies are just gonna figure out, okay, what can we call this person for? Are they younger? Boom, let's try to see if we can sell them something, or if they don't want to sell them, let's see if they owe anything so we can call them with all the stuff. And then if you're older, they're gonna be like, oh, we got some magazines for you, or we got something for charity. Let's just call you on your home phone. If you got a landline, that's gonna be even crazier. So these guys are actually about to be like, yo, let's remove all that person's information so they don't get all these crazy ads and all these calls and all these telemarketers and stuff calling them. That's cool.
Take the average human about 3,000 years.
Yeah.
And that's why you need Incogni.
Exactly.
I was shocked to find how many data brokers Incogni
Yes.
had tracked. potentially selling my data.
Yeah, all of them. Everybody, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all the stuff. They make their money. If it's free, it's because they're making money off of selling your data for free, for money to other people. Like, I'm sorry to tell you this, there's nothing in life that's free. If a resource is free, then they're making money somehow, or else it wouldn't be as cool and it wouldn't be nice like you like it. You know, Instagram only works because they can sell your data off to other people, and then you get those personalized ads, and then you be like, oh, I like this thing, and then you start buying stuff from YouTube shops, and then you be like, oh my gosh, why do I get this ad? And then you start having conversations, and you be like, oh my gosh, how come every time I have a conversation, my phone tells me about something I was having a conversation about? And this is part of this is one of the reasons. Like, it's not, the phone thing is still probably going to happen, but like, you know, as far as like everybody getting your information because of like all the other things you do in your life, you know, this is going to help with that.
But all I had to do was create an
All you
incognito
have to do.
account, give them permission to work on my behalf,
Yeah.
then sit back and let them do all the hard work for me.
Yeah.
And since these data brokers don't stop there, Incogni will continuously work to keep my data safe with an annual plan.
Yeah.
So if you want...
So guys, and you know, all they do is they, you know, instead of selling your information, they actually work to make sure your information, you know, gets deleted every time it gets sold. Now, are they stopping the transaction from happening in the first place? Probably not. But what are they doing? They're making sure that every time it happens, boom, it doesn't affect you. Now, all you got to do is pay them monthly. And we already talked about before, you're getting 60% off. You're getting this for 40% of the normal price, guys. Come on.
Want to protect your personal data too, go to incogni.com/oversimplified to get an...
That's /oversimplified / it's going this way, the /oversimplified. Go ahead and get it, incogni.com /oversimplified. Let's go. Let's get it.
You'll be supporting my channel. So thank you.
Support his channel.
Now, where were we? Oh yeah.
And also support my channel. I'm not wearing it at the moment because, like, how many days can you wear merch in a row? Before, you know, I just wore it yesterday. You know, but like, guys, I have merch. Check it out. It's in the shop. I got a merch store. I got stuff. You know, check me out, guys. He's selling stuff, so I get to sell stuff. Is that how it works?
Roman heads, a double consular army, and a hothead. Hannibal needed to keep smashing the Romans in battle in order to maintain the loyalty of the Celts, and so he was eager to fight another battle. The combined Roman force possibly outnumbered him, so he carefully crafted a clever trap, and he made sure to spring it while Longus was still in charge. The plan began with his army getting an early night's sleep. All right, boys, time for lights out. Sorry, but we got a big day ahead of us. Tomorrow, we're gonna massacre the Romans. Good night, boys. Dream of revenge. Gorzog, send out the cavalry.
Wow, what the?
That night, Hannibal...
Gorzog.
Numidian cavalry made their way over to the Roman camp, arriving just before dawn. Hey, Romans! Wakey, wakey! What's going on? Hey, Longus, your butt smells like a butt. It does not! Scipio, awaken the troops. Longus, these playground insults are clearly meant to lure you out. Well, it's working. Send out the troops. Longus, it's clearly a trap. And I'm falling for it. Send out the troops! Hey, guys, wake up. You're heading out for battle. What? But we haven't had breakfast. We're skipping breakfast! I don't think you can do that. As the Romans hurried out of camp, the Numidians began luring them back to the Carthaginian camp, where these gentle angels were just awakening from their slumber. Eat up, boys. We're having pancakes. While the Carthaginians were enjoying their hearty breakfast, the starving Romans were still on their way. Hurry up! We have to catch those Numidians. Hey, why have you stopped marching? Longus, there's a freezing river in front of us. Well, get your gluteus maximus in the water! All right, boys, time to lather up. This oil will insulate you from the cold. It also smells like lavender. There's the Carthaginian camp. Get ready to fight, men. Sir? I think the water from the river is beginning to ice over. I can't move. Oh, I'm sorry. You thought.
You know what's crazy? I kind of never thought it really got super cold in Italy. For some reason, it's like making me think it's like the whole state of Florida where it like doesn't really even get like super cold. But I might just be tripping. Like it might actually get like really cold in parts of Italy, especially northern Italy. Like I might just be being ridiculous. There's the Alps right there. That probably helps. If it's already kind of colder temperatures and then they off by the water, I live in Northeast Ohio. Lake effect snow is real. If it's snowing and you just by a lake, it's real. I can imagine if you're by a sea, that's probably even crazier. Sea effect snow.
A war would be fun. Sitting around a nice hot campfire playing Truth or Dare with your friends.
Yeah.
Welcome to the real world. Truth. Who do you like? Sharon. Hey, look, guys. The Romans are here. Having perfectly orchestrated events so that his enemy was cold, tired, and hungry, while his men were well rested and covered in oil. When the two sides engaged one another, the Romans were in no condition to fight. And the cherry on top, the previous night, Hannibal had sent out an elite force of men led by his brother to go and hide behind a bush. They suddenly sprung.
Wait, he had a brother? Why didn't they really talk about him in the last one? I feel like they didn't even mention he had a brother for real. Like, what's going on here? Shout outs to Hannibal's brother. You're not as well known. You may have other siblings that we don't know about. Who knows?
Sprung out, encircling the exhausted Romans, who were then cut to pieces. Once again, Hannibal's superior cavalry and double envelopment tactics had flummoxed the Romans. But the key word at Trebia was control. Hannibal used his intel.
Such a simple tactic. It's literally just like, while they're attacking us, face on, like just head on attacking us, somebody go around and attack them also from behind. Like it's crazy that was just like a revolutionary tactic in his time, because you would have thought that would have been like tactic number one, the first ever war. Like that would have, if I was there, okay, if it was me and I was a war general back in those days, obviously the first war, it don't matter what war, you could put me in any war, I could be in any single war, I would have thought of that first. Like that would have been the first thing I said for them to do. Like also probably like, what are we doing here with bow and arrows? Invent guns. Like, boom, do it. It's not that difficult. People do it all the time. Then we do that, bam. I would win every single war in like ancient history. Just know that, guys. Have faith in your boy Maximus Longus that I would have won every single one of those wars.
On the enemy and the environment of the battlefield to carefully control the conditions of battle, creating lots of little advantages for himself that pave the way to success. And concealing troops for an ambush? All of these things are what make Hannibal the genius he's remembered as.
Again, all these things, they seem like there's a lot, but it's just the way that he did the font and like how many things he put. It seems like it's a lot, but this is really just like normal stuff that you would do. All those little bit of points there about using the environment and all the stuff. That's, again, you don't even question. Of course I would have done all that stuff. The conceal and ambush, of course I would have did all that stuff. Like I know that there's more than just the go around there, but no, there's multiple ways to do it. There's multiple ways to skin a fish, if you know what I mean. I'm not gonna say skin a cat because that's just a weird saying. I don't even know why people say that. Like, don't do that. But a fish, I've seen that happen
Today. As for Longus, he managed to escape the battlefield with a small number of troops. Disgraced, he didn't want the Senate to find out what had happened, and he began obscuring communications back to Rome.
What?
Longus, where have you been? We've been looking for you. Nowhere in particular. Longus, 30,000 men are missing. Do you know where they are? They're taking a bath. 30,000 men? All in a bath? Yes. Longus, what's under that rug? Aurora Borealis? Aurora Borealis? Oh, well, that's my consulship over. Good luck with Hannibal. Bye. Trebia. had been a disaster for the Romans.
Jeez.
And as even more Celts began flocking to Hannibal, Rome largely lost its control over Cisalpine Gaul. In Rome, complacency turned to alarm. Hannibal had outwitted them on their own soil and inflicted a costly defeat. But with that, Scipio and Longus's terms as consul were over. They were replaced with two new consuls, Servilius and Flaminius. The Romans may now have begun to realize the trouble they were in and the genius Hannibal had shown in invading Italy. The Romans had expected to be the ones controlling this war. Remember, they thought they were going to invade Carthage. Now their plans lay in ruins, and they were levying 11 new legions to deal with the threat. Hannibal.
So now is the time for Carthage to also be planning a forward attack on them. Again, they need to learn from Hannibal. Like, they need to be like, yo, he's doing his thing over there. Now we need to attack from additional fronts. Somebody come off from like the New Carthage, you know. Somebody come off the ships from New Carthage. Somebody come off the boats from Carthage, from the south. So now you doing like a trifecta attack of people. He's coming down from the north. They're going over from the west. They're coming up from the south. It's like Rome would have been like, they wouldn't know what to do. So let's see what he does. But again, that's just me. If I was fully in charge, I would have sent the letter back to Carthage like, yo, make sure you triangle, you know, we're gonna hit him with the trifecta. Here's the plan. Do what I tell you to do.
Had completely redefined the war. But Hannibal had a little problem of his own. Things had gone well so far, but the Celts were notoriously fickle, and Hannibal needed to ensure he maintained their alliance and his base of support in Italy. Any Celts he captured fighting for Rome, he treated extremely well and allowed them to return to their homes. But the longer he hung around in their territory, eating all their food and leaving beard trimmings in their sinks, the more resentful they may become. They wanted to go south and plunder some Roman booty, and Hannibal also hoped to sway Rome's other Italian allies in the south to his side. So from here, the path was clear. Hannibal had to move south. Just one problem. There were two main routes Hannibal could take to move south. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly where the two new Roman consuls had taken fortified positions. If Hannibal tried to move on them, he'd be fighting from a disadvantaged position and could be bottled in. There is a third option. Ooh, tell me. We could move through this vast impassable marshland flooded with dirty, stinky, disease-infested water that at times would come up to our necks. But there's no way we would attempt that, right? That'd be...
I was also gonna say go around these by sea. You know, you can start your attack on them with like ranged attacks, and then just send the Celtics out, and then, you know, maybe have some other soldiers go around, like keep traveling down a little bit more. But, you know, this is also a good route. This is a second good route. I trust him. He seems like he knows what he's doing here.
Be crazy, right? Hannibal? Hannibal's 4-day trek across the Arno marshlands was hell on earth. Almost as crazy as when he crossed the Alps. Imagine 3 full days unable to sit or lie down because there's nowhere to sit or lie down. Meaning 4 full days without sleep, slugging through heavy mud. You contract...
Hold on. Are there like animals in here? I mean, I guess this is like mud, but like, are there like snakes or like some other type of like mud animals, you know, poisonous frogs or something weird in there? Like, that sounds crazy. And yeah, also like your body can't just be in water for that long. Like, even if it wasn't like super polluted, if it was just regular water, 4 days in water is a lot for most people's body to handle.
Cholera. Your foot falls off, and Jim Bob directly in front of you won't stop pooping in your path. In fact, everybody's pooping in your path. Some delirious, sleepless men would see clumps of mud and say, man, I could just sink into that. And then they would. When pack animals died, it gave nearby men a chance to rest, but only for a few moments before they were whipped back into line. Even Hannibal himself couldn't escape the torture of it. Hey, Hannibal, if we see a Starbucks, can we stop? I need to take a leak. What? Geez, Hannibal. Looks like you picked up a nasty eye infection. Normally for this sort of thing, we just wash it out with some clean water. But as you can see, water everywhere, but it's full of Jim Bob's poop. No worries, Doc. I'll just take care of it myself.
Ah! What? Are you freaking kidding me? Did he actually... I would have just like cut around the area and just drained out. But I guess then you got to deal with the fact that you're still going to be in septic water the whole time. But then, like, you also got to deal with that without an eyeball. Like, there's going to be a hole there. So, like, the best way is just to drain the infection, cut underneath the eye. Don't cut your eyeball out. That's just insane, bro. That's just insane. What are you doing? What are you doing, Hannibal? What is this guy doing? Guys, what is this guy doing? He now has an eye patch. The clear answer. Like, you're gonna cut out your eyes, so now there's a big old hole on your face, and instead you could just cut underneath where the pus is, drain all that stuff out. You do still have a hole, but you'll still have your eye, and you'll still have, like, you'll have a scar. It'll be cool. This is come on.
Now
Hannibal.
possibly one-eyed Hannibal and his army emerged from the swamp. They were shattered, but he had just managed to slip 50,000 men right past the Romans into rich Etrurian lands, where he could replenish his supplies, and his Celt allies could go crazy, securing Roman loot and booty. As fields and villages went up in flames, one Roman consul couldn't help but notice the hot-headed Flaminius, feeling it was his responsibility to protect these lands, rather than waiting for his co-consul to come join him, immediately left to go chase Hannibal. Now, this Flaminius was an interesting character.
Okay.
He was what the Romans called a new man. He came from the lower plebeian classes of Roman society, and as a result, he reportedly had kind of a screw-you attitude to the establishment, and a big old arrogant chip on his shoulder. Picture Sid Vicious wearing a toga. That's Flaminius.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I did it without anybody help. I don't need y'all. Yeah, I'm up here now. What? Y'all. I do what I do. Y'all need me up in here. That was him. But you gotta respect a dude like that. That's kind of super respectable. But at the same time, he probably is a jerk. You probably just like, bro, relax. Like you're not him. You're not that guy.
And
relax, bro.
Hannibal, thanks to his spies, knew everything. Just as with Longus, Hannibal knew Flaminius was just the kind of man he could lure into a trap.
Yep.
Hannibal led Flaminius to the entrance of a narrow pass along the north shore of Lake Trasimene. Flaminius watched as Hannibal's army entered the pass. I've done it. I've spotted the enemy. Sir? That big follow us sign seems kind of like they're trying to lure you in.
Nah.
Yes, Gareth, and I'm taking the bait. Sir, this really seems like a trap.
Nah.
Yes, Gareth, and I'm falling for it. Daylight was fading, so for now, the Romans set up camp. The two armies encamped across the lake from one another, and night fell over the two camps. In the morning, Flaminius would catch up to Hannibal, and he would be the hero of Rome. For now, the Romans got nice and comfortable.
Why would anybody trust to just set up a camp that close to somebody else? But, I guess this is back in the day, rules of engagement, something along those manners of those words. But at the same time, like, I feel like every time you set up camp, the other person, they would always just attack later that night. Like, ooh, come on, like, you set up a camp right next to me. I'm not gonna just let you sleep peacefully, get sound asleep, get nice rested up and stuff, wake up early, get some breakfast. No, I'm not letting you do that, bro. Like, you set up a camp next to me, guys, we're staying up. We're gonna attack them later at night. I don't care what they say. We're gonna somebody go get some sleep in the morning because you're gonna be attacking at night. Like, that's how it's gonna be happening.
In their beds. Good night, Flaminius. Good night, Rome. Good evening, Hannibal. During the night, Hannibal ordered total stealth.
Yeah.
As tens of thousands of troops scaled the wooded hills above the pass, completely undetected by Rome's scouts. Let's go, girls. Flaminius took off across.
That was a nice callback. If anybody's from the 90s, they remember that song.
The lake shore to try to catch Hannibal. As he did, even the weather seemed to be on Hannibal's side. A thick fog rose from the surface of the lake, obscuring visibility. Look at this. This is perfect. The mist will obscure our approach. Hannibal will never see me coming. Sir? Why does it sound like 50,000 Carthaginians are charging down the hill towards us? You mean 50,000 Carthaginians are charging right into my trap? The Romans found themselves completely hemmed in on all sides. With zero visibility in the fog, the fighting was terrifying and chaotic. Troops were pushed into the lake in their heavy armor, where they were either cut down or drowned. And Flaminius, who likely stood out like a sore thumb in his consul attire, caught the attention of one Celt warrior, with his head possibly swirling with thoughts of how the Romans had decimated his homeland. According to the ancient writers, this Celt took his chance.
Nice. I love the freaking they're going all the additional theatrics they're adding to this. This is hilarious, but also good cinematography. Shout outs to Oversimplified. You're doing your thing, bro. Shout outs to you. The cinematography on this one and the last one, the thumbnails, even everything's been great, bro. You're really doing your thing. Shout outs to you. I'm doing my thing as well, but you're also doing your thing. It's like we're both really we're it's like me and you. When people think of reactions to Oversimplified, they think of me, and when they think of me, they're like, yo, remember his reaction to Oversimplified. It's like we're bonded, bro.
In the 3-hour-long massacre, 15,000 Romans were killed and an equal number captured. An entire army completely wiped out, along with their consul. During the battle, the Roman vanguard had managed to break through at the front and climbed the hill above the fog. When the mist cleared, what they saw was a blood-red lake and a sea of Roman bodies.
Jeez.
Worse yet, when the other consuls sent cavalry to try to aid Flaminius's doomed legions, they too were caught and defeated. A double disaster. Rome went into a frenzy. For the second time, Hannibal had completely decimated an entire Roman army. Romans were dying by the tens of thousands. Common citizens began flocking to the city for safety. Women waited by the city gates in tears, hoping to hear news of loved ones. This one man, having just led his battered army across the Alps the previous year, now stood less than 100 miles from Rome. To this point, he had been a problem. Now, Hannibal was a crisis. And in a crisis...
If they had cars, they could have made it there in one day, really an hour. So it's kind of crazy that how close they were, but they still had they probably still had a week to prepare for themselves. So,
Rome took desperate measures. They actually had a system in place when dealing with an emergency of this magnitude. They would forgo their two-consul power-sharing system and instead temporarily give one man near total power and authority to be as decisive as he needed and hopefully salvage the situation. This all-powerful position in Rome's government had a name: dictator.
Oh,
It's
dictator.
actually where we get the word. But unlike modern dictators, Roman ones didn't score perfect rounds of golf or ride bears through the Siberian tundra. They held their power for just 6 months before they were required to give
Hold on. So let's look at these terms. Held absolute authority only in relation to the specific problem they were appointed to solve. Okay, that's interesting. Anything outside the scope of that problem required permission from the Senate. Other specific rules that changed over time, such as forbidding dictators from mounting horses in certain contexts. And what is this? This is for the star over here. There's some little stuff at the bottom. Exact term length is disputed, but this is pretty much the best one. This is pretty much saying that this may not 100% always been 6 months, but for the most part, they believe it's 6 months. So that's interesting. They're like, yo, we're gonna make you a dictator for this problem. You can do anything you need to do to solve this problem. Don't be trying to solve other problems. We need you to solve this problem. If you try to do other stuff, you gotta ask the Senate. But like you can solve this one, bro. You can solve this one.
And in Rome's hour of need, the man chosen to be dictator in 217 BC, one of the most highly esteemed members of the Roman Senate, Fabius Maximus. So how would Fabius, as dictator, confront Hannibal? Well, Fabius understood that marching all of Rome's young men straight into a one-man meat grinder was bleeding Rome dry. Hannibal was clearly too dangerous to face head-on in battle. However, he was also stuck in their territory, with dwindling manpower and forced to live off the land. It wasn't a sustainable position to be in long-term, and he could only remain there for so long.
Why did I had the opportunity to eat a Mr. Beast burger the other day, and I didn't. Like, I guess they like have it on like Uber Eats in my area, but from what I hear, it's not like an actual shop. It's like one of these ghost restaurants. Do you guys know about this? Have you heard of ghost restaurants? Like, it's just a random building, and they just like make food for like anything, and then they'll just have the logo for it ready, slap it on there, and then you get it. You know, it's like a pop-up kitchen, you know, or sometimes they'll just like another restaurant will just like make the food for a different restaurant, pop the label on it, call it a day, send it on Uber Eats. I just grab the food, and my Uber driver just keeps the secret for themselves. Like, oh, you'll never know where you got this Mr. Beast burger from. I didn't get this from Mr. Beast himself. You fool. You fell into my trap card. You know, it's that whole thing.
So, if Rome avoided battle with Hannibal to prevent any more crippling losses, and instead simply maneuvered around him, blocking supplies and taking out smaller contingents where possible, Hannibal would gradually become weaker, while they would gradually become stronger. And so Fabius presented his new idea to the Roman Senate. Okay, guys, I have an idea.
Okay.
See if you can follow me here. Okay,
I gotcha.
Instead of fighting Hannibal, when he approaches, we run away.
Hey, he's the dictator. He's the dictator. You got to do what he say. You got to do what he say. You got to do it.
Couldn't have been any less Roman. Romans were meant to march headfirst into battle, not run away from it. It seemed cowardly, and Fabius was extremely unpopular. At this point, Hannibal was continuing south. He had to stay on the move to keep his army fed, and he was still aiming to undermine Rome's alliances in the south. As he went, in a calculated display of aggression, he devastated the Roman countryside and killed many Romans, all in plain sight of Fabius and his army. We're just gonna stand here? Yes. Are you a coward? No. But Fabius, that's my farm. Well, MacDonald, thank you for your sacrifice. You're a hero now. Think of the stories you'll tell. Old MacDonald had a farm.
It's like I was thinking it the whole time in my head, but I wasn't going to say it out loud. Like, bro, what is going on here? Like, the old McDonald reference? That's ridiculous, bro. What's going on here? What are we doing, bro?
Shut up. But you know who else hated Fabius's strategy? Hannibal. He understood the danger he was in. Turning Rome's allies against her required Hannibal to keep smashing the Romans in battle. He couldn't do that if Fabius wouldn't fight him. Multiple times, Hannibal tried to goad Fabius into a fight, but Fabius wouldn't bite. Failing that, he tried to turn Rome against Fabius. According to the writer Livy, he burned down all the farms he could, but any farm he learned was owned by Fabius himself. He left well alone. Hey, Fabius, why isn't he burning down your farm? You got some sort of a secret deal with him? What? Of
No,
course not.
what? No, what? Why would you think that? He just coincidentally didn't burn down my farm, guys. I mean, I know I'm just telling you not to attack him, and then like, yeah, it may seem like after all this is done, I'll have the only working farm here, and then I'll become way more rich and everything like that. Don't think about that, guys. We should still just not attack him and let your farms burn. It's strange. I'll make sure to give you guys some, some seeds and everything. Once this is done, the fire will probably do wonders for it's like getting new soil. Just, move that on over. You're going to get some great soil, guys.
Hey, Hannibal! What? Burn my farm too, please! What?
Nah.
Burn my farm too, please! No! Remember our secret deal?
Well, you got to admit, he's a genius. Hannibal's problem, however, was that he had to stay on the move to keep supplying his army from the local lands. At one point, he entered Campania, one of the richest regions of Italy. Great for resupplying, and great for showing up Fabius in front of Rome's South Italian allies. But he was caught in a valley, and Fabius quickly moved to block his escapes. Haha! We've got him! After he's used up all the valley's supplies, he'll starve. Sir? What are all those lights leaving the valley? Is he trying to escape? Lights in plain view. Well, that's a trap if I've ever seen one.
And we're falling for it!
Suspecting a trap, Fabius refused to budge. But other Romans in the valley rushed to confront Hannibal, only to find the Carthaginian army was actually just a herd of oxen with torches tied to their heads. They then found themselves caught in an ambush. With the Romans distracted, Hannibal's army was able to slip away into the night.
Yo, you gotta shout outs to Hannibal, bro. That is a hilarious idea. Hey, just grab a bunch of cattle, put some torches on their head, let them go. See, it don't even matter which direction they go to. Surprise us.
Unopposed.
Or maybe they were being led by like one guy or, a couple of people. Like maybe they were being led. But either way, this was a smart plan. This is something I would have done. Maximus Longus would have done this exact plan.
Classic Hannibal. For all his inaction, the dissatisfied Romans mockingly dubbed him Fabius, the Delayer. But the thing is, Fabius's strategy was probably the best thing he could have done. He was right that constant encounters with Hannibal were bleeding Rome dry, and the time he took allowed Rome some breathing room to recover their forces when they desperately needed to, while putting Hannibal into an increasingly more difficult position. Modern historians view Fabius's strategy as generally a good idea. To this day, the act of not engaging an enemy, but instead gradually wearing them down, is still referred to as the Fabian strategy.
Wow.
But when Fabius...
Yo, shout outs to Fabian, though. Shout outs to Fabius. That's again, I would have already invented that plan by the time he would have came around. If I was around back then, I would have like made all those plans. Like those are like very simple plans. Like, yo, all right, he's trying to goad me into an attack. Just don't do it. Like, wow, nobody ever thought of that before. Like, oh my gosh, that revolutionary. This guy. They would have had to name the attack after me. There would have been the Ruck strategy, the Rucker strategy, because obviously that would have been like, oh, it incorporates everything that Hannibal did, what this guy did, with other people did, inventing guns, bro. Every strategy, all the best strategies would have been that strategy.
His term finally came to an end. The Senate couldn't have been happier. It was time to start fighting again. However, they probably had a little chat about how they were going to go about it. See, Hannibal's tactics up until now had been very sneaky. Or, if you're a Roman, you might say dishonorable. I'm sick of it. Every time we try to take this guy down, we march straight at him. But then, oh no, Hannibal's hiding in a bush. Hannibal's got 30,000 men up a tree. At this point, I'm not convinced my wife isn't just Hannibal wearing a disguise. Look, this time, we obviously have to switch something up. Now granted, we're Roman, so we're gonna march straight at him without thinking. That can't be helped. It's in our blood. But I have a proposition. This time, when we march straight at him, we do it with a massive army. I'm talking like 80,000 men. It won't
Wow.
matter what kind of shenanigans he pulls. He can hide in all the bushes he wants. There's no way he can possibly beat off 80,000 men. Grow up. You know what I mean? And so
Hey, just make it 100,000 men, you know? I bet he can beat off 1,000,000 men if he tried.
it was. With 2 new consuls, Rome put together a massive army, the biggest Rome had ever fielded, to put Hannibal away once and for all. To gather the men required, 2/3 of them ended up being completely inexperienced. But how
Nice.
much experience does it take to be expendable war fodder? As this
Probably
massive
none.
army set out in the summer of 216 BC, the Romans knew they needed to win this battle. Just one victory over Hannibal would likely be enough to end his entire campaign. And this time, their overwhelming manpower gave them confidence they could do it. Hannibal had taken position at the town of Cannae, where he had captured an important Roman supply depot. With Fabius gone, Hannibal knew a battle was likely coming, and he was eager to fight it on his terms. But when his
Okay.
men looked out at the Roman camp, they couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Just a lot of
That
people.
army's huge. There's no way we can possibly beat off all these men.
That's what she said. Got him.
How are we gonna beat off all of these men? You know what I mean. I think he's right, Hannibal. Hannibal is then said to have replied, Gisco, my friend, don't worry. There may be a lot of them, but amongst their ranks, there's not a single man named Gisco. This joke was apparently so funny that his officers began to laugh and laugh. And when his men in the camp heard the laughter, they were like, hey, they're laughing. I guess that means we're gonna win the battle. As for the Romans, the consuls were another pairing between an inexperienced hothead and a wise scholar. Although the main historian from this era was good friends with Paulus's family, so take that with a grain of salt. On
Wow.
his day of command, the rash and hasty Varro, despite the apparent pleas from Paulus, sent the army out for battle. And when Hannibal saw this, he did the same. And here comes the single largest battle of the Second Punic
Okay.
War, and one of the
Who's gonna win this, guys? In the chat, who's gonna win this? Ah, man. Without prior knowledge, I will say I want to give it to my boy Hannibal. I feel like he's gonna come up with a great strategy. Obviously, there's more people here, but like I feel like he's got something up his sleeve. They're only gonna attack head first, so all you guys got to do is the wraparound technique again, or flank them, however you want to say it. Although so this river makes it difficult, and then this area here, depending on if this is like a mountain or if this is a lake, also may make it more difficult. So he may not. Maybe he's. I don't know. What is he gonna do? What is he gonna do, chat?
most renowned battles in history, the infamous Battle of Cannae. In all the pre-battle maneuvering, Hannibal was able to ensure his army was fighting from the south. This meant
Okay.
the seasonal dust-carrying winds were to his back and blowing directly into the faces of the Romans.
Okay.
Like I said,
Okay, Hannibal. See, this is why this is why we cool, bro. Me and Hannibal would have been like best friends back in the day. It would have been like, yo, this is my brother from another, because I would have told him about all these other strategies too. Like the other people wouldn't tell him about this stuff except I would. In this council meetings, it would have been me and him and nobody else. And other people would have been watching us, been like, yo, these two going at it. Who's really him? And then, it would have been crazy.
control. After 2 years in Italy, Hannibal's infantry had dwindled to about 40,000.
Okay.
The Romans possibly outnumbered him 2-1. Their army was so big
Only
that
two?
their maniples stretched
Only
far
2 to
deeper
1?
than they normally would. The Romans planned to charge Hannibal's thin, weak line like a battering ram and break it. They also chose a narrow battlefield in the hopes it would prevent Hannibal's far superior cavalry from being able to outmaneuver them.
I mentioned this earlier.
They wanted an honorable battle where pure strength, rather than trickery, would decide the outcome. If Hannibal had his say, however, trickery might end up having a lot to do with it. He ordered his line to position themselves as an outward bulge, with his weakest troops at the very center. Just behind them, out of sight from the Romans, stood the elite Libyan infantry, waiting for their moment to strike. The battle commenced as the massive Roman troops smashed into the Carthaginian center. The shape of Hannibal's line ensured the overwhelming weight of the Romans hit his weakest troops first, and they were pushed back. Hannibal's outward bulge reversed inward, with the Romans being funneled in towards the weak center.
Okay.
Hannibal had positioned himself at the center to encourage the troops to hold out as long as possible against the Roman onslaught, because while the Romans were unleashing carnage on the center, Hannibal's cavalry needed time to do their job. The heavy cavalry on the left, after a barbaric fight, sent the Roman horse packing, with the consul Paulus even sustaining a severe head injury. He managed to move into the center to keep the battle going. Then, the heavy cavalry turned and approached Varro's cavalry from behind. At the first sight of the coming Carthaginian envelopment, Varro ordered his horsemen to flee the battlefield. The Carthaginians had won the cavalry battle. But back in the center, according to some accounts, Hannibal's line did eventually end up caving to the massive weight of the Romans, and they began to flee. The Romans pushed deeper, and organization within the army likely broke down as they became a giant mass trying to massacre the fleeing Carthaginians. They didn't realize that they were playing right into
You just did the thing for him. You helped him create, like, you helped him get around your forces. Oh my gosh. Bro, I would have been they would have said I was a genius back then. I would have never fell for this. Come on.
Hannibal's hands.
Couldn't have been me. It couldn't have been me, guys. I just want you guys to know. I hope anybody who's watching this knows that it couldn't have been me. I would have definitely beat this strategy. I also would have came up with this strategy, and I would have made it even more unbeatable. How would I have done that? You don't need to know that. That's strategic. That's war plans only. You guys don't need to know all that information. Just know I would have been a strategic genius back in these days, because these are not very advanced techniques, guys. I'm sorry to tell you this. Guys. But Hannibal, he's the guy. He's him. He's a goat. But just know, I would have, bro. This strategy, great strategy. Wouldn't have worked on me. Also, if I would have used it on others, it would have worked a little bit better. I probably would have had less casualties.
That moment, Hannibal's elite units, having done no fighting yet, and therefore fresh as a daisy, turned and smashed into the Roman sides. Many of these troops were wearing Roman helmets and armor they had picked up after previous battles, and the confused Romans may not have even realized they were the enemy. As Hannibal managed to regain the composure of his center and encourage them back into the fight, the Carthaginian cavalry swooped in from behind. And look at what lies before you. Our military general's wet dream, the total encirclement of a much larger force by a much smaller force. The Romans were trapped. Hannibal had unbelievably managed to use their own superiority in numbers against them. Rather than simply encircling them, he had actually allowed them to use their own immense power
to get encircled
into an encircled position. This was the genius of Cannae.
Oh my gosh,
And
that
with
is hilarious.
The annihilation began.
No.
For hours, the Carthaginians slaughtered the helpless Romans
Oh
from
my
all
gosh.
sides. The terrified Romans were so tightly packed that at times they couldn't even lift their arms to defend themselves.
Oh,
the killing went
jeez.
on so long that the Carthaginians became exhausted from the non-stop massacre. And by the time the butchery came to an end, the grim toll spoke for itself. To Hannibal's several thousand lost, the Romans suffered 60 to 80,000
Jeez.
dead or captured. Yet another entire army
Jeez.
wiped out by Hannibal. Many high-ranking Romans met their end at Cannae. Paulus, for one, but also 80 senators and more. It's been estimated that 20% of Rome's male population, aged 18 to 50, died at Cannae. This
Wow.
was it. Hannibal's vengeance. The stunned Carthaginians, as they searched for their own survivors among the dead, couldn't believe the sight of it. An estimated 30,000 gallons of blood now lay spilled on the battlefield. Rome's defeat at Cannae sent shockwaves throughout Italy.
Yeah.
Just as Hannibal had hoped, most of southern Italy now defected to his side, including the second largest city on the peninsula. Wow. Hannibal, this is incredible. What could possibly come next? Next? Jim Bob. I've killed 150,000 Romans. I've turned her allies against her. That's it. That's vengeance. So let me tell you what comes next. Rome surrenders. Their territories are reduced. We recover our lost islands.
Yeah.
And Carthage dominates the Mediterranean once again. But sir, what if they don't surrender? Jim Bob,
what?
Did you miss what just happened?
Yeah, did you not see the whole thing that we've been? Come on, Jim Bob.
Of course they're gonna surrender.
Yeah, of course they're gonna surrender.
Throughout his campaign, Hannibal had shown himself to be very adept at reading the Roman mind. But if he now thought that Rome might surrender, it was the first time he severely underestimated them.
Dang.
And he was about to discover an extremely inconvenient fact about Rome. Rome never surrenders. At a Roman survivors' camp near Cannae, one young officer overheard some troops discussing how they would flee Rome. Drawing his sword, he threatened to cut down any man that would abandon Rome in its hour of need. That officer was Scipio the Younger. But soon enough, the Romans would come to call him Scipio Africanus, the hero of Rome.
Oh, shoot. Guys, part 3. Scipius Africus. I like that name. Guys, adding a third name because I definitely would have had a middle name back then. So the name Maximus Africus Longus would have been the full name, guys. So just so you know, what that would have been like, now you know. Guys, that was a great video. Again, I love these videos. Oversimplified makes incredible content. The Second Punic War, this is hype. I gotta say, this is pretty hype. And this is only, I think I just did the research on this earlier. I believe there are like 3 Punic Wars altogether. So like, I'm very hyped. This is just part 3 of the second war. Like once we get to the third war, we'll see what else happens. But like, this is pretty dope, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this reaction. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment on the channel. I love reading the comments, seeing the likes, seeing the subscribers, you know, knowing that you guys are part of the journey. Road to 500 subscribers. You guys can be part of that journey there. You guys be part of the crew. And yeah, we're building a little army of our own here, guys. You know, we're going to do some Hannibal strategies to, you know, take down. We're not going to take down anybody. We're just going to get larger. You know, we're not here to take down any other channels. Shout outs to every other channel. Love out to them. We love them. This is the community that we have. Spreading some good energy here. So if you guys like this reaction, shout out to your boy. I did my thing. You know, obviously you saw it. You saw me, guys. And yeah, with that being said, that was a nice little rant there. But as always, thank you. I love you. Bye.